The producer in the future is someone who can find the talents, the best talents of those specialized individuals, and then hopefully bring them together in one unified idea, and that would be the producer's idea. The guy was going, whoa, The sound itself is spectacular.
I am Dracula.
Well, I think the challenge is to not have such a specific plan in mind. You can have a lot of ideas, and you can have a very specific idea as to what the emotion needs to be. But I think if you get stuck with one concept, that this is the sound or this is the construction of that scene and that's going to make the emotion, you'll find yourself up against the wall more times than not. If you leave yourself open to all the possibilities and make yourself sensitive that way, you'll find that the sound more or less reveals itself, or the form reveals itself. It may be a very simple design. The imagined space, because you can go through and define every little particular item on a film or in a movie, and you'll find that there's usually one or two elements that the viewer or the listener is paying attention to, and the rest of it is peripheral. And it's peripheral in such a on such a lower order that sometimes you don't even need it to be there. You can even just make reference to it in some synthetic way or in a metaphoric way.
Man knäpper på den när man vaknar. Knäpper aldrig på morgonen.
Ei se huono.
Ei se huono, mutta ehkä pikkusen myöhemmin. Ihan pikkusen.
Se kello.
Onko tää vuosi?
Vuosi.
Ja mistä me mennään?
Se on nyt alusta Current 56.
Otat vaan ne palaset, leikkaat ne ja sit koplaat ne sen jälkeen.
I was approached by the public station in San Francisco, KQED, to produce a piece. They're a series of 5 one-hour programs. This is the first one on the different neighborhoods of San Francisco. This one happens to be about the Mission District.
Every spring, a San Francisco neighborhood opens its doors to the world. For the people of the Mission District, Carnival is more than a celebration. Down these narrow streets comes a parade of wishes against a backdrop of faded storefronts. Carnival has become the signature of this neighborhood.
My partner Barney wrote all the music in a room adjacent, and then he would feed me with mixes as he got done with certain segments. So I would work along collecting sounds, adjusting dialogue, inserting sound effects. The director was giving me new narration to replace things that were there, and then Barney would come over with 5 or 6 music cues, and he would sit there and we'd spot him in, or he'd just give me a list with numbers on it, placed all the elements.
It is a place of great vitality, but a place troubled by poverty and crime. It is a neighborhood many choose to avoid after dark. a neglected corner of the city. But go beneath the surface and you will find a neighborhood with 1,000 faces, a story that is rich with surprises.
You need to monitor and guide where the listener is, and if you're presenting things at such a pace that no matter how well the sounds are recorded, if they contain a lot of information, they need to be, and you want the listener to follow that information, they need to be paced in such a way that you hear the sound and you understand it. And then you can begin to break that boundary depending on where you want the listener to be emotionally. A lot of times in popular music, when a new instrumentalist comes in, they're mixed a little bit higher, and then they're brought back into the mix so that the listener can be guided to hearing that guitar solo, and then they hear the new character, the new instrument, and then once they've got a hook on it, it can be brought down and sound more as part of the ensemble.
Well, as we've seen it all before, nights in armor, days of yore, the same old fears and the same old crimes. We haven't changed since ancient times.
Our brains and our physiology is set up to receive change and perceive change better than steady state. And comparing two steady state systems is much more difficult than perceiving one change against the other. The classic example that I like to show with that is if I were to find a blue and tell you that I really like this color blue, and I would tell you a lot about this color blue and why I like this color blue, and then in 5 minutes find another blue and tell you why I thought this was such a great blue. So you already have a certain remembrance of that blue because I just brought it up. But then if I brought them right together, right next to each other, you'd find that they're almost the same. But there's a subtle difference to it. And you can see that difference because they're vibrating right next to each other, right? This is just light vibrations. We're set up to see, we're set up to acknowledge, to perceive things better in a changed state rather than a steady state. We're opening doors to defining sound in less literal terms, using sound more metaphorically, and it's a challenge.